Fourth issue to draw to our attention is an issue of control. How much control do human beings have over their thoughts, over their feelings, over their actions, and then thinking more broadly speaking, their destinies? Is it the case that human beings, while of course subject to various forces beyond their control, perhaps their genetic heritage or various things that happen to them in the environment, they nonetheless do have a volitional capacity? They can make choices over what they think, over what they do, choices for which they can then be held responsible? Or is it the case that we don't really have any sort of free choice or any control fundamentally, but rather all of our thoughts, all of our feelings, the actions, and so forth are determined by causal forces beyond our immediate control? And there have been many versions of determinism historically. Some versions emphasize biological forces, arguing that biology ultimately is destiny, that we all have a certain genetic package, for example, that we are born. And as we grow and develop, our genetic package expresses itself in terms of our capacities, and all of our capacities then are primarily determined by genetic forces. Others will argue that we do have a biological package, obviously, that grows and develops, but when its biological imperative is taken as far as it goes, we're still left with a great deal of plasticity, and that therefore environmental forces, including social forces, have a great deal of power over manipulating, shaping, and forcing the human being into a particular being with a particular set of thoughts, a particular set of emotions, a particular set of behaviors. And so really the primary locus of control is in environmental and subset social forces. Another prominent version of determinism historically has been theological in orientation. Some versions of religion emphasize that the controlling power in the universe, including the controlling power over what human beings do, is God or the gods, and so largely then what happens here on earth and what happens in human affairs and what happens in my life in particular is a matter of being a plaything of the gods, right? Or that God has written the script and assigned me a role, and he is directing me and guiding me through, but really the script is more or less written, and I have no control over the outcome of the various plots and subplots, right, and so forth. The fifth issue, rather, to draw your attention to here has an evaluative dimension, and it's an issue of human nature, arguing in the sense that what we're talking about is what is given to human beings at birth, that is to say, beyond their control or before biology has reached its full destiny or before social or environmental forces have exerted their influence. What's the kind of the moral status of the core human nature, the core human potential that we are given? And here are the three options, broadly speaking, that have come down to us in the philosophical and the religious traditions, have been to say that at birth, or that is to say at the origin of the human nature, there's a fundamental badness or a fundamental sin that is part of the original package, and that the dominating fact of the human condition is dealing with, grappling with, or otherwise trying to manage this original badness that is built into us. And here the expectation is that human beings left to their own devices, the bad in them dominates, and left to their own devices, to the extent that human agency is active in the world, it is badness that is going to manifest itself in the world. The opposite view, much more optimistic view of human nature, has been to say that built into the human condition is an original goodness, that the natural, the normal, or the dominant mode of being, mode of behaving and acting is in the healthy direction, in a positive direction. Human beings are born with certain capacities. As those capacities come online or as they are trained, the normal and to be expected development is for them to develop in a positive direction, and to the extent that people become bad, that's an aberrant maldevelopment or a malfunction of something either in the system or in the training. But that means that we can expect of ourselves a positive development, that rather the primary project in our lives is to let our natural, healthy, and positive developments out and to nurture those rather than being in a position of being saddled with an original sin that we first have to deal with in order to get to ground zero, so to speak. Third position argues that neither of these is true, that human beings are not born weighted one way or the other, that instead, morally speaking, we're born with a set of capacities and there is no preset developmental route, whether those capacities are going to be developed in the positive or in the negative direction. Instead, it's entirely a matter of the choices that individuals make or the training and influences that they are exposed to. Those capacities are in themselves perfectly neutral, but they can be developed and trained in a positive or good sense, or they can be equally easily trained in a negative or harmful direction. All right, these are 5 issues of importance philosophically and also theologically. What I want to do for the remainder of this session is focus on this first issue here, which is largely a foundational issue for all of the other ones. And so I want to spend a certain amount of time focusing on this one. We'll fold in little bits of discussion here and there about the other issues, and then certainly we will return to all of these issues in later units in the course and fold in their significance to educational practice as that comes up.